Hey everybody, this is Joe.
And this is Jenna.
From Fantastic Reviews. We're here with another video review for you today. We just got back from seeing Blair Witch.
I'm so mad.
So
mad.
How would you like to start this off? Would you like to go through a review of the movie, or do you want to just start?
Well, let's give it a rating first. So, a rating of 1 to 10 Blair Witches, I give it a -15.
That's harsh.
I'm mad about this movie.
I would say a 1.
I say, okay, if you really liked the first movie, it's the exact same movie, so you'll like this one.
It's the exact same thing.
Pretty much exactly the same. Now,
seriously, there's no difference.
If you go into this as a standalone movie, just on its own merit, you're probably going to like it if you enjoy horror movies. Because it is pretty good. There's some great visual effects in there. The interplay between the characters is really great. But as a horror movie, don't think too much about it. Because it makes absolutely no goddamn sense.
The flow of the movie is what really kind of throws it off.
Yeah.
Because the first half hour was set up and it was great. It was like, oh, we found this footage and it's my sister who got lost in the woods 15 years ago and we want to go back out and see her, and the one girl's making a documentary about the whole thing. So it kind of gives you a good background as to where they're going, and then they go off and they find the guy who posted this found video that he found. He posted it to YouTube. So they go out into the woods. They find this very helpful redneck who...
There's always a helpful redneck.
There's always a helpful redneck.
With too many dogs.
And they're going to lead him into the forest where he found the tapes. And it's these old DV cassettes that he found that he posted. So he's going to lead him there. And that's all great, and they start like, ooh, spooky woods, and don't come here after, nightfall, and all that good stuff. And
what was a really good thing was that they told the story of these new characters while still giving you a little bit of backstory on the first movie without overplaying it too much. So you got the connection between the new characters and the old characters, because the main guy, Josh... whatever his name is.
They're all forgettable.
Whatever his name is. I don't remember any of them. Josh, we'll just call him Josh. His sister...
it might have been James.
James? The one with the J. So his sister was the one who made the first movie. She was the one who was making a documentary with her friends, and she was the one who got lost. Which, he was 4 years old when that happened, and she had to be 18, so his parents were... I don't know how old that was, because this is 20 years later. But anyway, so they set it up as he just wants closure, which I thought was a great way to get people back into the woods. So that was fine. I had no problem with that. His friends are going with him because they're supportive. They know this is a hard time for him. And the girl, who totally wants to bang him this entire time, by the way, is making a documentary about it. And this is her documentary for a school project that she's doing, which is fine. It makes sense leading up to it. They meet the guy who posted... This whole thing started because some guy posted the stuff to YouTube about his sister, found footage that he found in the woods, and he's going to lead him up there to see where it was so they can start tracking things. Maybe they'll find something new, and then police will reopen his sister's case and start looking again. So that was all fine. And the backstory leading up to it was great. Some of the visual effects that they did with the documentary stuff was fantastic. I liked that they now didn't have giant camcorders all over the place.
Well, because it's 15 years later, so now, the technology's been vastly upgraded.
Not everybody has, a handheld camera, because that was something that always bothered me. I'm like, why would you not just instantly drop whatever you're carrying and sprint off into the darkness if you're being chased by a demon witch? I wouldn't take my camera with me. I better film this as I die. I would never do that. But they had little ones that went over their ear that filmed, so they didn't have to bother with it. Except the main girl who had a giant camera all the time.
A giant camera and a drone, but it's all upgraded technology. So they're bringing it into 2000. What year are we in? 2016.
2016.
I forget.
And that part was fantastic. I really did enjoy the connections they set up with characters. I felt like it was very real. I didn't feel like these are 4 actors acting. They were 4 friends in the woods, so that was fine. It's when you get into the mythology of everything and the actual supernatural stuff that pisses me off.
Before you get to that point, I kind of want to finish my point here in that, the first half hour is all that setup. They meet the helpful redneck, they go in the woods. For some reason, just one of the girls in their party just, steps on a rock and, cuts her foot open because they're going camping, yet none of them are wearing boots. And they have to cross this river, so they decide to take their shoes off to cross this river. Yeah. She steps on a rock, cuts her foot open, and I don't know why that was really even in there. And we'll go into that a little later. But, alright, so whatever. So they move on, they build base camp, and from there, it's literally an hour and a half of just screaming, camera going like this all over the place, and that's it. That's all you get.
I personally am not a big fan of found footage films because I don't like the camera jerking all over the place, and you can't see anything except colors rushing by. So, especially for a horror movie where you're trying to be scared, it makes it really hard to try to concentrate on anything. I know you're trying to get the sense of urgency and fright because people are running, they're fleeing for their lives, but I don't feel connected to it because I can't see what's scaring them this whole time. Like, I don't know why you're suddenly screaming and running. I just know you're screaming and running, and I'm going, don't scream and run in the woods in the dark. Don't do that. Is a bear chasing you? Maybe it's a bear. Why, but it's not a bear. It's never a bear.
There were some good, like, kind of creepy, like, what the fuck kind of moments in the movie, but mostly what it was to scare you was, like, it was jump scares, and it was just real distorted imagery, so you can't really see what's going on, and just kind of like the weird, like, cracks and like, noises that you hear just in the woods. That you would hear in the woods when you're camping.
Which is creepy enough as it is. This is why I don't go camping. That and the bears. And the bugs, and the dirt, and the cold. Yeah. And no food. So,
after about an hour of incoherent screaming and running around, one by one, their party starts dwindling in numbers because they kind of start breaking off, doing their own thing, and then they get kidnapped, killed, abducted, whatever.
I do have to say, for the most part, the main group, when they get separated, it is a believable reason they get separated. It's not just, let's just randomly split up, because that's what you do in the woods. The first guy, he's dead because he just wanders off by himself. But the rest of the group, when they're running together, something happens that splits them up. And I'm like, okay, at least that's the reason they're apart and not just because they're idiots in the woods. Yeah. First guy's an idiot. Why would you go searching? I'm not going to get into it. We'll get into it in a minute. But, I mean, it's as good as the first one.
It's really, exactly the same as the first one.
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
If you went into this movie like I did, expecting something new, you're going to be very disappointed about it because it's exactly the same.
They did a lot of things that didn't make sense, and one of them, like I mentioned, was the girl cutting her foot open because there's a part in the tent. She's starting to get sick because it's infected. There's a part in the tent where, like, her boyfriend goes to look at her foot, and something just kind of, like, pushes out for a second, and you're like, oh, what? Oh my god, maybe her foot's gonna have a demon baby. Yeah, like, oh, okay, this is new, this is great. And
maybe a snake or something come out of there.
And literally nothing comes of it. It just hurts her every once in a while. And then she tries to climb a tree and falls. And like that's...
She gets pulled out of the tree. But still.
I don't know if she got pulled out of the tree or if there was another sound and she got startled and she fell. Yeah.
Don't climb a tree when your leg's all messed up.
It made no sense.
There was no reason to get...
Another thing that they did too was the helpful redneck that they found in the woods mentioned something about it's better to take DV tape in, to do these kinds of documentaries because devices with like memory cards and stuff, they tend to screw up because they're just all electronic. Whereas with a tape, with magnetic tape, it can't really, it's not as susceptible to, I don't know, paranoid EMP, I guess.
All the ghosts took classes once they die.
Yeah.
That's how they know.
Yeah. So they made a point for him to say that because in the beginning of the movie, they're showing this girl's equipment. She's got like Bluetooth earpieces with integrated cameras. She's got, this big ass DSLR camera and the drone and tablets and smartphones that are all hooked up, GPS systems that are all, connected together. They made a big point of showing that off, and then him talking about the DV tape, and then nothing.
Well, I think part of the reason that they brought that up, and I did like this, is that while they're in the woods with this guy and his girlfriend, who comes with them, to show them where they found this tape originally that they believe is found footage from James or Josh's sister, the woman who's actually doing the documentary specifically asks him about his camera and what it is, because she connects that his camera is the same as Heather's camera, the woman from the first movie, and they use the same equipment, which is when she starts, I think, to piece together that he actually tricked them, because I think she's starting to wonder why he has an old style camera like this, and she's trying to make conversation, and then she starts piecing it together, like, why is your camera using the same tapes that you found in the woods 20 years later that no one else has found before? And it does come through later on in the movie when they're all camping together that this guy and his girlfriend were the ones making some of this stuff up to scare them so that they could get other people to corroborate their story that things were happening in the woods. Why? I don't know. I don't know if it's just to boost their YouTube channel or if because they're trying to get the police to actually investigate things because they believe the Blair Witch is out there trying to get people. But they're the reason behind it. That being said, the tape does come into play later, and he did not plant that tape. Shall we get into the supernatural stuff that doesn't make any sense?
Go ahead.
Okay. So aside from all of that and the stupid things that these people do, one, why does she have to get her foot cut? I agree. I don't see why that had to have anything to do with the movie. It never really comes up again aside to make this one girl sick. And it doesn't even hinder them because they end up back in the same place again. They have to camp again. They're walking in circles. So having her get hurt at the beginning of the movie doesn't give anything to the movie. The other thing that's really dumb is her boyfriend decides to go off into the woods by himself to go collect firewood, and he goes a super far way away. You're in the woods. There's woods everywhere. Pick up sticks from the ground. When you're going camping, everybody, if you're going camping, stay where you can see the campsite. Don't wander off so far you can't see anymore, especially at night. You're an idiot, a demon's going to eat you. Now, to all the stuff that didn't make sense supernaturally, I never understood what the Blair Witch was. Maybe I'm an idiot, but the whole story with the Blair Witch was that she was a woman accused of witchcraft who was killed back in the 1700s, and then some crazy shit started happening. Fine, that's great, whatever, she's out for revenge, I get it. But what gets me is that one of the biggest things that everyone harps on is that this guy, something Parsons, killed 7 kids in the woods, and he said the Blair Witch made him do it. She told him to do it. That has nothing to do with the Blair Witch killing anybody. But the first movie and this movie, both at the end rely on them finding his house full of child's handprints all over the place and standing in a corner to not get killed. That has nothing to do with the Blair Witch, and it's all from this guy who killed these kids 50 years ago. So he was the one who made the kid stand in a corner because he didn't want the kids to watch him kill the other kid. And he was the one who did all the murders. Now, that's fine because it's a creepy story. He said the Blair Witch talked to him and told him to do it. Also fine. That has nothing to do with random piles of stones being placed around their campsite or creepy stick figures being placed around their campsite. That has nothing at all to do with the Blair Witch mythos. They never explain it in either movie why these things appear and why they're important.
I can understand the stick thing, though.
The stick thing is, I guess, because she got hung in a tree, and that's fine. But
it's
why is it a point? Especially since they're obviously made to be voodoo dolls, or some sort of voodoo doll, because in this particular movie, when they break one of the sticks that has one of the girl's hair in it, she gets snapped in half, and she is dead right away. Which was a cool effect. Still didn't make any sense.
I thought it was, I thought it was pretty good because it did kind of add to the whole terror thing. And it did add to the whole Blair Witch voodoo doll.
It added to the Blair Witch mythos if they actually went into the fact that she was actually a witch. But her whole thing was she was accused of witchcraft. Some kid said she took their blood. And that was it. That's all they ever say she did. And back then that was enough. Because of course it was. And they killed her. Alright. So I can see her spirit or ghost or whatever inhabiting the woods and getting revenge on the people who killed her. So, the kids are the ones to die first and then their families. All right. But then suddenly now it's evolved into her actually being a witch, or is she a demon, or are the woods themselves evil? There's never any connection between any of these little pieces of mythology that they try to create for this Blair Witch character. And it's like they can't focus on one thing they want to do with her. That's what really frustrates me the most. Because I love horror movies. And at the end of the day, if your reasoning behind this is because it's a demon and demons are evil, fine. I'm totally fine with that being the reason that things happen. But there's never any reason for any of this shit to be happening in this movie. Because they make a point to say that the guy who killed the kids, he was executed, and then they burned down his house. But they keep ending up back in this same house. So is it an evil house that doesn't really exist? Are they in purgatory? Did they die in the woods beforehand, and this is all some sort of hellscape that they're in? And now, in this one, they add time travel.
The problem, and we'll get to
time
that.
travel thing,
We'll get to that, but the major problem with the Blair Witch mythos is that they really didn't establish it. They tried to run with it, but they didn't know where it really came from. So none of it really makes sense. None of it's really that menacing. Yeah. It's just a bunch of jump scares and...
Like, if they had fleshed out the Blair Witch's story a little bit, which I thought they were going to do. That's why I was really excited to see this movie. Especially when they got introduced to the two other characters from the town that was going to take them into the woods. I thought, okay, here's the people who know this story. They have some more story. They're going to tell us why the Blair Witch is scary. What is she really? But at the end of the day, it comes out that she was just some woman, got accused of witchcraft, and was killed. And now... just people get killed in her woods. I guess she's a malevolent spirit, I guess, that kills people, but then the rest of it doesn't make any sense. Why would you have to not look at her to get killed, yet people are still being killed anyway? The woman, I think she got dragged out of the tree and died. Plus, she pushed a tree onto another guy, and he's dead. So she can obviously kill you without you looking at her. Why do you have to go stand in a corner to have her not kill you once you get into the house? Why is the house significant if it's Jim Parsons' house? Would it make more sense if she actually was a witch or some malevolent entity? I can't talk today. Malevolent entity. Wouldn't it make more sense if she had her own source of power somewhere else in the woods, like a cave or her own little hut, or something that was sacred to her, like the circle that they sat in, the clearing? That was her space, and that was where they had to go, and they got killed there. It would make more sense if that was if it tied back to her, but nothing ever seems to actually tie back to the Blair Witch, which is what everyone is saying is this evil spirit in the woods. It's never correlated, and it all goes back to this guy's house where he murdered 7 kids, and that's the only thing you ever really hear about happening. One of the girl that comes with them to help lead them to this site says that, oh well, kids disappeared. For a while. Someone else said that her daughter, she saw a hand reach up from the creek and drag her daughter down. Okay, but why? They never go into why the Blair Witch is after kids if she's actually after kids. Why she's haunting these woods if she's actually haunting these woods. I get it if the whole point was because she's out for revenge and she doesn't want people after her, but go into that more of her than this house from some guy who murdered some kids. That's what really throws it off for me. I'm like, why is this house significant? Why is this where all this strange stuff is happening? And then when they're in the house, there's like 18 floors, it seems, because they keep going up staircases. There's 20 million doors they go through. And then there's this weird, at the very end, when 2 of the characters find each other in the house, there's this weird surge of light, like you see in sci-fi movies when a UFO comes. That's my thought. I'm like, UFOs? Now aliens are here? And then it is never explained. The light comes, it shines through all these boards, and then it's gone, and they're left alone in the dark. It's stuff like that that really pisses me off, because it's not tied together. I get it if you want to have an open ending for a movie so that you can make another movie, but give me some answers along the way, because now it's just bothering me, and I don't want to go see your next movie, because I feel like it's going to be the same thing. I was really excited for this. The trailer looked amazing. I really wanted to go into this movie loving it, and I just left with annoyance. That's what it was.
One of the cool things, though, that I thought did work was that whole kind of time travel, time vortex thing.
Explain that more, because I don't think we touched on that.
No, we didn't. I was going to.
Okay. Time travel vortex.
So, at one point in the movie, the first night in camp, they all go to sleep. They wake up, and it's like kind of bright out, and you're like, okay, it's next morning. And they look at their watch, and they're like, hey, it's 2 in the afternoon. How the hell do we sleep till 2 in the afternoon? Like, that's insane.
Pause. Why did they sleep till 2 in the afternoon? There's no reason for that either. Go forward.
Well, it's just to show. I think it was just to show just the inaccuracy in time. Yeah. Really, the anachronistic something.
Sure.
Is that the word? That. Whatever. Anyway, so they find out they're waking up at 2 in the afternoon, which is fine. Stuff happens. They try to go to sleep again. Alarm goes off. It's still dark as hell out, and she's like, it's supposed to be 7:30 in the morning, and it's still dark as fuck. Like, I can't see anything. So, alright, that's kind of weird. Alright, maybe their time is off? No idea. But they're running off in the woods to try to find the one girl who was in the tree. She's already gone, by the way.
She doesn't die until later.
So they're running off to try to find her, and they find the guy's house. And it's... James thinks he sees visions of his sister kind of running around, so he's trying to chase her around, and they get into that whole business. But in the end, what happens is the girl making the documentary is running up the stairs, and the footage looks really familiar. It actually turns out to be the same footage that the Helpful Redneck found and posted to YouTube. So it kind of makes this weird, like, time circle thing. So the actual footage that the redneck found was the footage from the girl making this documentary.
In this movie.
So it's kind of like the found footage traveled back in time.
Or, like, once you reach this certain point in the woods, you're out of time?
It's the whole area, because, once they're there, the GPS doesn't work, because of course it doesn't.
Never does.
They find themselves walking in circles a lot, all the time, until they find this house, and that's kind of like the end point, and that's just where everyone goes to die.
Yeah.
But it seems, my theory on it, from the best parts that I could piece together, is that this place may or may not exist in a time and place out of time, maybe another dimension, another reality, I don't know, maybe it's purgatory, who knows. It's not really clear.
Which, again, why? If this is a movie about a Blair Witch, a witch from the 1700s, why would this have anything to do with time travel? Why would there be any sort of time paradoxes going on at all? I'm not going to say it's not a cool effect. It's not that it's not interesting. When I figured that out, I was like, oh, that's really neat. But it doesn't belong in this movie. This movie is supposed to be about some witch in the woods killing people. And she never kills people. Or if she is killing people, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And there's no reason for her powers or what her powers are. Is she a giant monster? Is she a witch? Is she a demon? Like, no one knows. And it's very frustrating that there's no answer. And then at the beginning of the movie, when the guy posts this video, which, like Joe said, is the video that actually is the video they're creating at this moment in time. At the end, when they get to the house, he's there again. Earlier in the movie, him and his girlfriend had left. They got into a fight when they found out that they were tricking them. The four friends who were in there, they set him off on their own. Once they finally circle back around, they're like, crap, we have to set up camp again. It's getting dark. This girl's foot is hurting. She can't walk anymore. We're going to set up camp one more time. After they set up camp that time, the pair that was leading them through the woods come back. They find them. They said they've been gone for 5 days. The one girl refuses to leave with her boyfriend again. She wants to stay. She's starving. And the guy runs off into the woods. He says, I'm not going to die. They're going to die. She's keeping him here. And then he leaves. Well, he comes back at the end, and he has a beard now. So he's been there for months. And he makes a weird comment saying, you have to do what she tells you, and then throws the main girl into a well.
He said, you look like just like I remember you.
Yeah,
which
he's only been there a few months. So
he says, because when they first comes back, he's like, I haven't seen you in 5 days, and to them it's only been a day. And then when they come and see him at the house at the end, he says, just like I remember you. I mean, it almost seems like he's been there for weeks.
He's been there for a long time.
And to our perspective, it's maybe only been a day.
It's been a day. And
that is one thing I forgot to touch on with the whole time vortex.
There's never any explanation for it either. Like, why is this happening? Is this someplace out of time? If it is, why is he aging? Because he's growing a beard, so something's happening. But why? Does she need him? Is the Blair Witch using this person to lure other people into the woods? He does make a comment at some point when they're having this fight in the basement that the main woman stumbles into, that she needs you to remember, and then he pushes her into a well and shuts the door. I don't know what that means. There's never an explanation, and I'd like to know. It seems like there's a lot of interesting stuff in this movie, very good moments, and they're never touched on again, and it's like, I would have liked to have heard the story that he had to say. Like, is she talking to you? You've obviously been there a while. Something's happened, guy. It's only been a day. So how'd you grow a beard and look this skinny and you're in this crazy vortex time house that's traveling somewhere? I don't know.
One final note that I have for the movie, I thought about it and I'm like, why was this movie so popular in the first place? Because all it really was just a bunch of people screaming, yelling out, and just flashlights, and you don't really see anything that great. Well, why was it so terrifying in the first place when the first movie came out back in 1999? And after I thought about it, it's like, well, it's the first found footage type movie I think that's ever hit the mainstream. So it was kind of like new, and
most well known.
It was kind of like new and different at the time. And with this movie, I guess they tried to recreate it, and at this point, we're over it. Because there's been a number of movies that come out like that, and they're all terrible because you can never see anything. You can never fully grasp or understand what's going on. Yeah. And maybe for some people, that's the terrifying part of it. But for me, it's just I can't follow it. I can't do it. And I think they need to stop making these found footage type movies.
Yeah. Now, for me, I'm fine with mystery in a movie. I would be fine with never seeing the Blair Witch at all. I'd like to hear more of her mythology, though. I'd like to understand what her powers are, or why she's haunting these woods, or I would just like to understand more of her, not necessarily see her kill anybody. I think it's great when stuff happens off-scene and your mind is free to fill in the blanks. That's fine for me, visually. But I would like to at least understand more of where this is coming from and why this is something. But I am not a fan of found footage either, because of the same reasons. I can't see what's happening. If you shake the camera too much, it just makes my head hurt, and it makes me feel nauseous. Like, I don't like that. I want to see what's happening, or at least understand what's going on in the scene they're in, even if you can't see the supernatural forces going on in the darkness behind you. That's fine. I'm fine with stuff shaking and growling and people screaming in the distance and wondering what's happening. That's fine and terrifying. Great, do it. But do it in a way that I can at least see the scene. I don't know. It's just, it was very disappointing. I'm sure a lot of people will like it. It was done very well. It was done the exact same way as the first one, but with better visuals. But the ending is the same as the first one. Everybody dies, which is fine. Everyone's allowed to die in a horror movie. That's fine. But there's no closure. There's no real ending. There's no reason for any of this to happen. And everybody in the movie just... There's no reason for them to... There's just no reason. There's nothing to be done. It ends the exact same way. So if you went into it thinking something different would go on, you're out of luck. It's all the same. It's actually exactly the same. Because you hear the first person in the basement dies, and then you think maybe they'll get away, and nope, camera falls, the end. Yeah. What were you going to say?
The other problem, too, is that it's hard to connect with the characters. They're very forgettable. So
I don't even remember their names, and we just left that movie.
Yeah.
This video is now 28 minutes long. It took us 20 minutes to get home. I don't remember their names.
Yeah.
I think one of them's name was Lisa.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't even know. We just left the movie, and I don't know.
The characters are very forgettable. The acting was good.
Yes. The acting was good, which is something to say for a found footage film.
Helpful Redneck and his girlfriend really played it off like crazy conspiracy theory and his coked out girlfriend.
I actually thought some of the best acting came from the two of them because going into it, I felt weird, like why would they want to go with them? So I knew something was up, but I still really enjoyed their arc as characters. And that moment when they come back and find the other group, and she doesn't want to leave, and she's just... You can tell she's terrified, and I believed that. I believe she's been lost in the woods for 5 days, and she's starving and hungry, and she just wants to be with people and go home. I believed that. So the acting was phenomenal. Everybody was great. The story just lacked. I really wanted to like it, And again, I'm sure some people, this is going to be the best movie of the year for them, and that's fine. You're allowed to like it. You're wrong, but it's fine. No, no, if you liked it, I can definitely understand why you would. Personally, for me, I wanted more. I wanted more from the story than just another group of 4 people go and die in the woods. I mean, even Friday the 13th and Halloween have some backstory, even if it doesn't make any sense, even if it doesn't mean anything. If at the end of this movie it was just turned out, oh hell no, you a demon, and it's just a demon just in the woods just wreaking havoc, at least I'd have an answer. And maybe that's part of the thing that people want, is that there's no real explanation and no rhyme or reason. Maybe that's what makes it terrifying, but not for me. It just makes it very annoying. It's very annoying.
So, final thoughts.
I wouldn't see it again. If you really like the first one, I would say you'd like it, but I would never see this movie again. If they make a 4th one...
Third one.
No, this is the 3rd one. Second one was Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows. It is absolutely forgettable. You don't remember that. I didn't even
know they made a second one.
This is the 3rd one.
Huh.
If they ever make a 4th one, it's going to be the exact same movie, because every single movie has been, and there's never been any explanation. It's just sad, because I think, especially with this particular movie, this director and this writer, I think they could have done something great, because there were really, really wonderful moments in this movie, and it's just sad.
So basically, if you've seen the first Blair Witch, you don't need to go see it again.
No, you don't.
So, did you guys see it? What do you think? Are we completely out of touch with the whole Blair Witch thing? Put in the comments below if you feel like we've missed something.
Yeah.
If there's something that we need to be explained. Because
yeah, if there's...
are we dumb? Like, do we... I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Please tell me if I'm an idiot and don't understand the Blair Witch. Please tell me, because I really want to know. I want to know why this is happening, and I want to know. But right now, in this movie, with the time-traveling house, /woods, /demon witch, /crazy serial killer man who was killed 50 years ago, none of it makes any sense. And I'm sad about it. Because I love horror movies. I really wanted to like this. I made him go with me. I paid. It was crazy. Now I just feel like I wasted my money. But I got a corn dog, so.
Driving's awesome.
Food. Food is always good.
Well, thanks for watching the video. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We also do unboxings. We're going to get into some gaming stuff, and of course, the podcast as well, which is our probably favorite thing to do.
Yep. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and on Facebook if you want to hear us rant about other things. And thanks for watching this long-winded rant of just rage about a movie that I really wanted to enjoy and just completely steamrolled over some parts of yours.
That's fine.
But I love you. So okay. Oh. All right, anyway.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, Internet.